El doctor es profesor visitante en el Marine City Medical College and Hospital en Bangladesh. Asesor Medicina Correccional, Sede Correccional Regional de Osaka, Ministerio de Justicia. Director jefe asociado en el Centro de Apoyo a Víctimas de OUMI. Profesor en el Departamento de Medicina Legal, Universidad de Ciencias Médicas de Shiga, Japón. Profesor asociado en el Departamento de Medicina Legal, Facultad de Medicina de la Universidad Médica Tokio, Tochigi, Japón. Doctor en Medicina en la Facultad de Medicina, Universidad Hikei, Tokio, Japón. Egresado de la Facultad de Medicina de la Universidad MD Hikei, Tokio, Japón. Le damos la más cordial bienvenida al doctor Hitosugi.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the introduction. And it is my great pleasure to make a second presentation in this meeting. Again, I acknowledge Dr. Pasher, the president of this conference. So today, I'm going to talk about the biomechanical analysis for preventing motor vehicle fatalities. This is a famous mountain in Japan, Mount Fuji, highest mountain in Japan. And this is a Tokyo Sky Tree. And this is a Kinkakuji Gold Shrine and located in Kyoto. These are very famous in Japan. Don't work? Excuse me for some trouble. Okay. First, I talked about the trend of motor vehicle collisions in Japan. And the next research is for injuries due to motor vehicle collision. And the save both mother and fetuses, and seatbelt use for pregnant women passengers. And finally, for the prevention of placental abruption due to motor vehicle collisions. Okay, first, the trend of motor vehicle collisions in Japan. And the worldwide, on the world road, annually, 1.3 million people die and 50 million people injured on the world road. And the road trauma is a huge economic loss and 1 to 3% of GDP in most countries. In 2004, motor vehicle collision injuries is the 9th leading cause of death in 2004 all over the world. But 2030, it estimated that become a 5th leading cause of death, rank up from 9 to 5th, because the more and more motor vehicle was sold in all over the world, especially for the China and India. And maybe in the 2030, 2.4 million fatalities occurred all over the world. And this is a trend of the Japanese casualties of traffic accident in Japan. And annually, 362,000 people were injured in Japan due to motor vehicle collision. And the fatalities 2,600 annually. These numbers decreased recently in Japan. Because of the development of the safety vehicle and for example, the development of the pre-hospital care, like doctor helicopter, and these trends are decreased in Japan. And the Japanese government set the fundamental traffic safety programs in Japan. This is revised every 5 years. And it is active in the 2021 to 2025. The basic principle is achieving society with no vehicle collisions. Until the 2025, the fatalities are less than 2,000, and the severe injured person and 22,000. This is objectives in the Japan's now the basic safety programs. And now the fatality is 2,636. So I think it is very difficult to until the more 2 years. But the priority issue to be addressed for reducing vehicle collision damage is first ensuring the safety of the elderly and the children. Yesterday I talked about that in Japan, the aging is a nationwide problem. So the ensuring the safety of the elderly is the first problem. And the low birth rate is also the nationwide problem. So ensuring the safety for children is very important. And ensuring the safety of pedestrians and bicyclists. This is a very, very large problem. And ensuring the safety of residential laws. And this is the fatalities and traffic collisions in Japan. And the left side figure is the age distribution of the fatalities. And it is very characteristic that the more than half of the fatalities aged 70 years or older. This is very, very characteristics in Japan, maybe different from the Panama. And the right figure is the the differential mode, pedestrian, bicyclist, motorcyclist, and the vehicle passengers. And the green meaning the older people. And this green is more than 70 years old. And this green is 6 to 69 years old. So in Japan, pedestrians, most of the pedestrian deaths is the older people. And the similar trend is in the bicyclist. Most of the fatal bicyclists is the older peoples. This is very characteristics in Japan. And I showed the distribution of the mode of collisions in Japan. Left side is the fatalities. So the most common mode of action of the fatalities is the pedestrian, and followed by the vehicle drivers and the motorcyclist and the bicyclist. And this is the right side is the injured. This is a fatalities. This is injured. The most common mode of injured person is four-wheel vehicle drivers, and followed by the bicyclist, four-wheel vehicle passengers, and the motorcyclist. Okay, this is a trend of motor vehicle collisions in Japan. So next, I will talk about the researches for injuries due to motor vehicle collisions. And there are many methods of research for motor vehicle injuries. But for the first, it is important to analyze the real-world collisions. So there are some methods to analyze the real-world collisions. In any facilities, autopsy victims, to summarize autopsy victims, it is very important for this is done in many facilities. To summarize the autopsy drivers, autopsy passengers, autopsy cyclists. This is very important for any facilities. And the very famous database is a NAS-CDS database. This is a national database in USA. NAS meaning National Automotive Sampling System. This database is all over the USA database and connected to the police database and the hospital database. And there are many information about the accident information and the medical information. This is very large and very famous database. And the second is, this is in Japanese database, Itaruda database. This is an institutional traffic accident research data analysis. And this is only domestic database in Japan. And the JTDB means the Japan Trauma Database. This is a domestic hospital-based trauma database. And the second database is a police-based database. And the third database is a hospital-based database. I think that this data, I think it is important to connect police database and the hospital database. So number one database is very, very important database. This is connected between police database and the hospital database. And the fourth database is the population-based fatal in-depth collision data. This is our prefecture doing in a prefecture, and this is all the fatalities due to motor vehicle collision as determined and examine the detail. This is done in my prefecture. And the patient data in some major hospital. And all over the world, each hospital summarize the data of the injured person due to motor vehicle collision. This is very, very important in each facilities. And also, questionnaire survey is performed all over the world. In Japan, for pregnant woman driver survey was performed by us, and the LED driver survey was performed in all over the world, all over Japan. And especially, I will talk about the researches for injury biomechanics. Biomechanics used to study a biomechanical response of the human body and to study injury mechanisms and the tolerance. For the injury biomechanics, these materials are used. The first material is human volunteer. So the human volunteer ride a vehicle, and the very, very small speed of collision was performed to analyze the response of the human body. But this is a very, very low speed or very low powers of forces applied to the humans. And the second one is a human cadavers, a dead body. That human body is used for the experiment. In USA or in Europe, a dead body is used for the examination. For example, a dead body put on the road, and the vehicle collided the dead body and examine the injuries. And this is some of the European, some of the cities in Europe and the USA, maybe occurred in China. And third is the animals. Animal experiment is used for the biomechanical analysis. But this is very difficult to use animals due to ethical problem. And the fourth is mechanical models. This is so-called crash dummies. A dummy model is used for the experiment. And I will show the movie, the followed slide. And the mathematical models are computer models. And the computer model is used for the analysis of the biomechanics. And I will show the movie using the dummy models. This is a car-to-car collision, and the dummy is in the driver's seat in both vehicles. Okay, please push this button over there. Okay, please push it left side, this button, please. Yes, and the frontal collision airbag was deployed and in those dummies together. Okay, this is a more larger vehicle, and this is a smaller vehicle. Smaller vehicle jump up if collided to the larger vehicle. Okay, I will show the right side. Please push this button. Please see this. This is a dummy model. A dummy model face attacked the airbags. Okay, this is this same figures. Okay, yes. Okay, in this collision, we can see from the inside of the vehicle. Please push this button. Up, this button. Okay. Yes, please. Okay, the damage face attack to the airbags. Okay, in both driver's seat and the passenger seat. Okay, this is a larger vehicle. This is a figures from the smaller vehicles. Please push this button. A damage face attack to the airbags, but the smaller vehicle jump up and the dummy move to upper and the lower side. Okay, this is experiment using the dummy model, mechanical model. So next, recently the motor vehicle collisions due to the driver's health condition, and the driver suffered from the acute disease, for example, acute myocardial infarction or cerebral hemorrhages, and the uncontrolled vehicle collided to the object. This is very popular in Japan because in Japan, the number of older drivers increase. So this is a health-related vehicle collision. And aged driver more suffer from any disease and symptoms. And this is a major factor for vehicle collisions. This is a collision the driver had suffered from the ischemic heart disease. This is the occlusion of the coronary arteries and the fibrosis of the heart muscle. The reappearance of these collisions by computer simulation. This is a reconstruction of the driver's motion. Please put this button. A driver suffered from the ischemic heart disease during driving, and they tended to move forward and loss of consciousness, and then attacked his face to the steering wheel. Okay, please put once more here. Okay. Loss of consciousness and then attack to his face to the steering wheel. This is a reconstruction of the driver motion. This is a computer simulation model. But more detailed computer simulation model developed recently. Okay, this is a FE finite elemental model of the drivers suffering from frontal vehicle collision. This is more detailed computer simulation model. This is the frontal collision and the face attack to the airbags. This FE model is a very developed model in the computer simulation. Okay, these are the researches for injury due to motor vehicle collisions. Okay, next we are going to talk about the save both mother and the fetuses. And yesterday I talked about that in Japan, low birth rate is a nationwide problem. But the low birth rate is a very huge problem in not only Japan, but also in developed countries. This is developed countries, and the fatality rate, this number is mean that in the one woman produces the number of the number of child. This means that the averagely one woman produces 1.3 children. The two, father and the mother produce children. So father, mother is a 2. So number 2 is even for maintaining the population. But the less than 2 is a decrease of the population, meaning the decrease of the population. In developed countries, this number are less than 2. This meaning that in developed countries, maybe decrease the population. And the number is most lowest in Italy. And following to Italy, in Japan, this number is very small, 1.3. So in Japan, we have to save the children. Of course, the fetuses, save both mother and fetuses is a very, very important problem in Japan. And the figure means the 28 weeks of the fetuses in the intrauterine. Maybe the 1,500 grams, maybe, in 28 weeks. For pregnant women, motor vehicle collision was the most common and the most life-threatening injuries. Previous research suggests that, for example, 1 in 12 pregnant women suffer from trauma, and in USA, 92,500 women annually injured in motor vehicle collisions. In Japan, 2.9% of pregnant women are involved in motor vehicle collision. So preventing maternal motor vehicle collision injuries is a greater priority for the lives of both mother and fetuses. And previously suggested that moderate to severe abdominal injuries are more common in pregnant women than non-pregnant women. Because pregnant women protruded the abdomen. So this is a pregnant woman, and this is non-pregnant woman. The similar stature, similar height, but pregnant woman protruded his abdomen. So there less distance between abdomen and the steering wheel. This is a non-pregnant woman. There are enough distance between the abdomen and the steering wheel. This difference is 10 centimeter. This distance is 10 centimeters shorter. So if the pregnant woman suffered from collision and deviated his body to the frontal side, so easily attacked his abdomen to the steering wheel. And restrained passengers experience injury from external forces via the shoulder belt. A shoulder belt contacted abdomen. Suffered from the forces to the abdomen via the belt, even minor to moderate frontal collisions. So wearing a seatbelt during pregnancy has a reportedly better fetal outcomes after motor vehicle collisions than not wearing one. Because pregnant women had a proper abdomen, so to save the frontal movement is very important. So wearing seatbelt is very, very important to save the movement for the frontal direction. But in 1994, this is a survey in Japan suggested that seatbelt use rate of pregnant women in a region was 32.4%, very low percent. So education based on scientific evidence was required. So we had previously performed the biomechanical analysis to confirm the importance of the wearing a seatbelt. Benefit of seatbelt use of pregnant women were confirmed by biomechanical analysis. This is the dummy model for the pregnant woman dummy model, representing 30 weeks of gestation. This is the late time of gestation. And maybe there are 10 this model of pregnant woman modeled all over the world. One is in Japan, and the others are in all over the world, maybe in the USA or the other developed countries. I have one model. This is the only one in Japan, a dummy model. And using this dummy model, we had the biomechanical analysis. We performed the biomechanical analysis. And the first experiment is that the reappearance of the rear end collision suffered from the 30 kilometers attack. Okay, please push this button again. Yes, please. Okay, the suffer from the rear end collision. The driver moved backward because of rear end collisions, but he didn't use seatbelt and then moved forward to attack his abdomen to the steering wheel. The pregnant woman abdomen attacked to the steering wheel when not using the seat belt. Okay. Okay. Next, we try again with using seatbelt and suffering from the 30 kilometers of rear end collision. The pregnant woman used the seatbelt, and please push one. Oh, okay, please push again. Yes, thank you. And suffering rear end collision and moved backward and rebound to the frontal direction. But he had used the seatbelt, avoid contact. Okay, so it is important to use a seatbelt in the suffering from the rear end collision. In this dummy model, we can measure the intrauterine pressures using this dummy model. And this is the changes of intrauterine pressures. Intrauterine pressure was measured in the front and the backward side, rear side, and the front and the posterior side, anterior and the posterior side. This is not using seatbelt, using seatbelt. When not using seatbelt, the higher pressure was measured in the intrauterine pressure when contact is abdomen to the steering wheel. Using seatbelt, this is a very low level of changes of intra-abdominal pressures. And they previously suggested that the larger the intra-abdominal pressure, the larger the fatalities of the fetus. This value is about 60 kilopascal, or 60 kilopascal. The 60 kilopascal meaning the 20% of risk of adverse fetal outcomes. But if the values were larger than 60, the risks of adverse fetal outcomes become 50% or 80%. So, but some of the pregnant women now didn't not use seatbelt because the pregnant woman says, I was driving a very low speed. The pregnant woman says, so not using seatbelt. But I have tried the experiment by the collision velocity was very low, or 13 kilometers collision. I will reconstructed this 13 kilometers collision and without using seatbelt. Okay, please push this button. When suffering from the very low velocity of collision, but moved forward, attacked his abdomen, attacked vehicle collision, and also face attack to the steering wheel. Although the collision velocity is low as 13 kilometers per hour, in the intrauterine pressure exceeded 100 kilopascal. When exceeded 100 kilopascals, 109 kilopascals, meaning the 80% risk of adverse fetal outcomes. Most of fetus died exceeded 100 kilopascal. So it is very dangerous not using seatbelt if suffering from the low collision velocities. And also, this is also very dangerous, not using seatbelt and suffering from 40 kilometers hours collision. Maybe the both fetus and the pregnant woman die after suffering 40 kilometers hour when not using seatbelt. So this is the ACO, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists suggested that seatbelt use is very important. And ACOG recommended seatbelt use to improve maternal fetal survival after motor vehicle collision. And the lap belt and the lower part of the lumbar region, and the shoulder belt is the avoid the protruded abdomen, and the using like these figures. This is very important to using seatbelt correctly. So this issue is in Japan. This issue is brought up as a diet in Japan. So 2007, Cabinet Committee in Japan was held, And I talked about these issues in the cabinet committee in Japan. After that, Japanese National Police Association recommended that pregnant women traveling in vehicles should wear a seatbelt. This is decided in Japan. So the rule of the law, so this is the books for the rule of the law, and suggested that the importance of seatbelt use of pregnant women was enlightened and listed in the book Traffic Rules. This book is translated in English and sold as a rule of the law. So in Japan, the using seatbelt for pregnant women was enlightened all over Japan. So for the next, I examined the seatbelt use of pregnant women passengers. After this enlightenment in Japan, more than 90% of pregnant women drivers wore seatbelt. In 1994, this figure is 32.4%. So this figure increased after the enlightenment of the using seatbelt for pregnant women. However, around 1 in 4 pregnant women did not understand the correct method for using seatbelt, as shown in the previous slide. So we clarified the situation regarding the seatbelt use by pregnant women drivers. So questionnaire survey was performed for the pregnant women drivers who always use a seatbelt. This is a result of a questionnaire of the using seatbelt. Correct seatbelt use is shown in the 86.9% of the pregnant women. So most of the pregnant women use seatbelt correctly. But for example, number 2, the 3.4% of the pregnant women lap belt crossing, or the correct use is lap belt crossing the lower part of the lumbar region. But the 70.4% use the lap belt crossing over the abdomen. This is protruded abdomen. This is like this figure too. This is very dangerous. And the 1.1% of the pregnant women, the shoulder belt are crossing over the abdomen. This is. And the 2 and the 3, number 2 and the number 3 is the forces applied on the abdomen. This is very dangerous. And for example, number 4, lap belt crossing over the thigh, and number 5, shoulder belt crossing under the armpit, not using correctly under the armpit. And this is number 4 and number 5. Inadequate restriction, the body easily moved forward. So after that, I examined this survey for the pregnant women drivers, and then I checked the rear seat passengers in Japan. So unbelted occupant in the rear seat during a frontal collision often impact with the passenger's compartment, the seat back of the front of seat, or was ejected from the vehicle. So seatbelt not using in the rear seat is also dangerous. In Japan, the road traffic law was revised in 2008, and the seatbelt use was made compulsory for the rear seat passengers. After 2008, rear seat passengers in Japan have to use a seatbelt by the law. Before the revised of this law, this is a rate of seatbelt in use in normal law. Green meaning the driver, and white meaning the front passenger seat, and pink meaning the rear seat passengers. Before the 2008, the seatbelt use rate in rear seat passenger is very, very low. After that, after the revision of the seatbelt use laws, the figures increased, but not so high, 36%. The not using seatbelt, the reason for not using seatbelt is forgetfulness or perceived low risk and uncomfortable belt. So I asked to the many passengers, why you not use seatbelt? they say that these reason. Like especially for pregnant women, I asked why you not using seatbelt. The most pregnant women not using seatbelt say that uncomfortable, and the seatbelt contact is neck. This is a pregnant woman who not uses seatbelt in rear seat. She says that the seatbelt contact to the neck. I see this pregnant woman. I see that as she says, the belt contact to the neck of the pregnant woman. This is uncomfortable. I understand that uncomfortable. This is. So I asked to another pregnant woman. This pregnant woman say uncomfortable because of the contact to the neck. Like this pregnant woman, the seatbelt contact to the neck. I examined why this seatbelt contact to the neck. So I corrected is many pregnant women and asked to sit in the rear seat and measure the seatbelt path of these women. I corrected the 12 pregnant women. The age, average age was 32, and the average gestation week of 33 weeks. And they examined the heart rate and the birth path of each pregnant woman. And this is a result and the comparison of the height of the pregnant woman, stature of the pregnant woman. The left side is non-contact pregnant woman. The right side is a contact to the neck of the pregnant woman. The figure suggested that the belt-contacted pregnant woman is a less height, very, very small stature. That the stature is very small, so the belt is upward. So the contact to the neck, and also avoid the large abdomen. So seat belt deviated to the right. So the belt contact to the neck. If belt contact to the neck and suffered from the collision, it is very dangerous. The reappearance by the pregnant the dummy model. This is a seat belt just contact to the neck. Okay, please put this button. Yes, please put this button. I will show the movie. And if belt contact the neck and suffered for the frontal collision, a belt compresses the neck and the neck compression of the neck and the head deviated to the left. So very, very dangerous. And I examined the differences of the position of the head and the neck. So how the compression of the neck and the head deviated to the left. And also how the moment, the deviated to the left and the head movement had occurred, like these figures. So if he belt contacted the neck and suffered for the frontal collision, shoulder belt contacted the neck and the abrasion, hematocerebral Horner's syndrome, and the traumatic carotid artery injury will be occurred. And some forces are applied to the neck and some forces to the head. So symptoms similar to the whiplash or injury to the joint or ligament will be occurred. So we had to save and prevent the neck injuries of the shorter pregnant woman. So how to prevent this neck contact and the frontal collision? First, rising seating posture up by booster seat. The using booster seat and the position of the pregnant woman upward. So this is very important. So OB-GYN doctor have to aware of seat belt neck contact and provide adequate advices. And the development of a different restraint system in rear seat is recommended. So equip the shoulder height adjuster and so on. So I think that the shoulder adjuster, to move the adjuster and avoid the head, neck and seat belt contact is important, I think. Okay, finally, I will talk about for the prevention of placental ablation due to motor vehicle collisions. And we had made the finite elemental model for the pregnant woman. So FE model of the pregnant woman with gestation age of 30 weeks were developed like this one. And this is a model that I was showing in previous slide. This is the protruded abdomen. And this is a 30-week gestation of the pregnant woman. If the pregnant suffered from the frontal collision with a big velocity of 40 kilometers, and I will show the movie. Okay, this belt was applied to the pregnant woman's abdomen. So I examined the forces to apply to the abdomen. This is the placenta. This is a model of the placenta. And the placenta abruption is occurred when the forces applied to the uterus. And if this color exceeded the yellow or red, this is a high power of stress, meaning the high power of stress. And this is yellow and the red, meaning the easily occur the placental abruption. Placental abruption is shown when the color changes yellow to red. This is a very dangerous and yellow to red, that the placental abruption. And if the belt was applied to the abdomen or the upper abdomen, this is a risk or placental abruption. We have quantitatively measure the abruption areas. If the abruption areas to increase, this is very increase the risks of the fetal death. And this figure shows that if the velocity, collision velocity increase, the abruption area increase according to the velocities. And if the love belt position the lower abdomen, this is very, very safety, lower abdomen. But the love belt deviate to the upper abdomen. This is very dangerous because the forces are applied to the uterus and placentas. And blue meaning the love belt position, the middle abdomen. Middle abdomen very risky, and the upper abdomen also risky. But lower abdomen, this is a correct position of the love belt, but it is very safety with the very lower barriers abruption areas. So correct seat belt is very, very important to avoid the placental abruption. So inadequate love belt position and the higher velocity of collision were risks for placental abruption for the pregnant woman. Interventions such as providing proper counseling about correct seatbelt use and safety education to prevent excess speed are required for pregnant to those for non-pregnant women. Passive safety technologies for restraint and active safety features that slow down the vehicle and mitigate collisions are required in future. Okay, I talked about the importance of the biomechanical analysis for the vehicle safety. And for example, especially in Japan, the very low birth rate is very nationwide problem. So I try to save the both pregnant woman, the mother, pregnant mother, and the fetuses to save the children. Okay, thank you for your attendance. Thank you very much.
Por el momento no han llegado preguntas, doctor. No sé si alguien desea que se le pase el micrófono. Ah, una pregunta ya. Voy para allá. ¿O prefiere leer? Sí.
Sí, buenos días. Por lo que expuso, hay mujeres que dependiendo de su tamaño, de la estatura, sufren mayor riesgo por el uso del cinturón. ¿Quién tiene mayor riesgo y si en Japón se pudo resolver ese tema?
Thank you for your question. And the low height of pregnant women more suffer from seatbelt contact to the neck. So I advise for the low stature pregnant women to use the cushion, using the cushion of the hip, below the hip, and the height upper, and move to upper. Okay.
¿Alguna otra pregunta?
Hola. Sé que existen dispositivos que uno adapta a la silla de los automóviles para evitar la presión de la parte inferior del cinturón contra la barriga. Quisiera saber si eso es promocionado en Japón para evitar accidentes como los que acaba de explicar.
Thank you for the question. As you say, the chair is also important to effective for the prevent the neck and the contact. I think you say, as you say, it is important. Thank you very much. Thank you for a suggestion.
The question was I'm going to say it in English. There's attachments to seats that pull down on the lap belt sold in the US. Is that recommended? Is that promoted in Japan?
Okay, thank you very much. As you said, that is pregnant for the pregnant woman's seatbelt. That is connected lap belt to the thigh. But it is not safety because we have already performed the experiment, and this is easy to move his body to frontal direction. Okay. Conservative belt is very important. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for the suggestion.
Agradecemos la presentación, agradecemos su presentación, maravillosa presentación, doctor, muy interesante. Y me permito en este momento invitar al doctor José Vicente Pachar, director general, para que le haga entrega de su certificado.